So since I watched The Nun, I've seen The Conjuring and Annabelle. I watched Annabelle earlier today. And
Really?
those
Okay.
movies were so much better than The Nun. I like Annabelle.
Now we gotta talk about it.
I
Oh
was
my god,
literally on the edge
yes!
of my
Talk
seat
about that.
while watching Annabelle. Like on the edge, like I was. It was yeah.
Really?
I was like, what's
Really?
gonna happen? I
I
was yeah.
hate it.
I don't know, but yeah, I was like, man, what's gonna happen? The Conjuring.
That's a fun.
There was some parts in there where I'm like, okay, that's stupid. Why are you making But The Conjuring was a legit good movie. I
Yeah,
really like The Conjuring.
I think
So.
that's the general consensus on The Conjuring is that
Mhm.
it's probably it was the first of the first film of the franchise,
Mhm.
and then after that they just kind of tended after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the general consensus is that The Conjuring is kind of like a classic horror movie now.
Mhm.
I'm surprised you liked Annabelle. I've seen it several times, and to me, it never gets
Yeah.
better.
Maybe if I watch it again, I'll hate it. Because when I watched The Nun, I didn't think it was too bad the first time, and then the second time I watched it, I hated it. So maybe if I watch Annabelle again, I'll hate it. I don't know if I want to watch Annabelle. I'll skip the sewing machine scenes. That was the
Yeah.
most tense. I would like literally biting my nails when she's operating the sewing machine and like watching TV at the same time. I was like, no. I
Oh.
just knew that she was going to like get her finger with the sewing machine. Although the way that scene played out was not realistic at all. That was
Yeah, because nobody ever watches.
no. Well,
Well,
it's
yeah,
not
isn't
that.
that
It's
like when we
if
were at
you
Sandia Prep? That's
no,
why we never watched TV while we like sewed on our machines when we were working at Prep. Like we always listened to
yeah.
music.
No, well, the thing is, it's not that like nobody would watch TV while sewing. That's not the issue at all. The issue is when you hit your finger with the sewing machine, you don't go ow. No, like it's like the end of the world for like 5 seconds. If that and that's if you don't hit the bone. I've known people who hit the bone and like the needle is stuck in their finger, like you know. Like yeah, and they're
Well,
pinned,
that is my one of my greatest fears.
and they're actually pinned to the machine. Because they're sewing with their right hand, and the right, gets pinned to the machine, and they have to reach over and like actually hand crank the machine backwards to like get the needle to go up, but like they can't reach. They can't reach the wheel, so they're pinned to the machine, and the needle's stuck in their finger. I know people where that's happened to them before, or like goes through the fingernail or whatever, like that,
I can't
like
believe that's a thing. Wait, isn't
yeah.
that why you have the safety latch though? If you have to,
Well,
unless you decide,
no,
unless you
that's the
sew with the pin up, with the thing up. You
no
know what I'm
that
talking about?
the foot is not a safety mechanism. The foot is to keep the fabric on the ground. So it's to keep the tension. Because if the foot is up, then
Oh,
you don't have the right tension, and the sewing goes awry. So the foot pushes it, and also pushes it against the feet or the teeth that grab. Because there's teeth on underneath the fabric as well that help push the fabric through the sewing machine. And if the foot's not down, then it doesn't get the right traction. So the foot isn't for safety at all. It's to like increase the traction and the tension of the threads and everything. Uh, so you can easily still run over your finger. And so they're sewing, they teased it a couple times. At the beginning of the movie, they do like the close up of like her fingers getting really close to the needles. And I just knew eventually in this movie she was gonna run over her finger. And I was like,
does she? I can't remember.
she does, but it's not that
Ah,
bad. It like the way she did it. She's like, "Ow!" and she goes to like she washes her hand off, and she doesn't even bandage her finger at all. And
wouldn't that shit
and
hurt?
she goes
If it
back,
goes through your
yeah,
finger, it's gonna be bloody,
right, and then
right?
she just goes back to sewing again, and I was like, that's not realistic. If that happened to you, you would be done for the rest of the day. Like, no more sewing today. I'm gonna So that's
Your
the
finger would be bandaged. Like you
right?
probably
At
have to
least
remove that
bandage. Like you're
fingernail.
not gonna stop the bleeding, just by running it under some water. It was like, so that was the one
I
thing,
mean,
like,
maybe if you poke yourself with a hand needle, but
yeah. I mean, because
I've
that,
done that tons of times.
you prick your
It still
fingers, that's
hurts.
fine. It hurts, but it doesn't bleed that much. But especially, and they showed the wound when she hit her, like the needle went down a couple because it runs really fast, and so it hit a couple times. But here's another thing about the sewing machine is there's a knob on the side, or like a tensioning screw on the side of the sewing
Yeah.
machine, and if that hits your finger, you think the world just ended. Like it because the sewing machine, it has such high torque. Once it gets moving, there's no stopping it. There's very little that's actually going to stop the thing from moving once it gets moving. And so, just smashing your finger on the tensioning screw when you get too close to it, and then the tensioning screw will like smash your finger. It it hurts so bad. Like it take like you. I mean, yeah, those are the things that make me cry. There's not a lot that makes me cry, but there's a lot on a sewing machine that will make you cry if you do it wrong. And I've always been very scared of like running, and especially when I worked at a bridal shop and I was sewing hems, and the hem on the dresses are like 40 feet long because the dresses are so big. And so you're just you're hemming this dress and you're just feeding the fabric through, and you get into a rhythm and you're not paying attention. And I've had a couple times where the needle brushed up against my fingernail. Like it didn't hit my fingernail, but just brushed it. And that always makes my heart stop. Because especially when I'm working at a shop like that, yeah, I'm working on industrial sewing machines. And that on an industrial sewing machine, that needle is not going to stop when it hits my finger. It's going through. Like
It's gotta keep going.
it's gonna
Yeah.
keep going, and it's fast. And so I'm sewing really fast, and it goes, and so if that
You
actually
might not
hits,
be able to get out.
right,
Yeah.
it'll like, oh my gosh, like, so when I'm watching Annabelle during the sewing machine, I like covering my eyes, like like no. So that's, yeah, you have to be careful
Right?
about that.
See, and I think it's so interesting that you said that because, like, you know how I was talking about that there was that one scene in The Nun that scared me, but you hated The Nun?
Yeah.
I feel like what we find scary is always going to be subjective based on our own personal fears,
Right.
based on our own personal experiences. Because I have to say, like, that sort of thing made me cringy too with the sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Because I've also used sewing machines. And it's terrifying. Like, it's terrifying. You wouldn't think that something as small as your finger would be... It's the fact that it's close-up.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that it's a close-up scene.
Yeah.
Also, that scene in the elevator, that was the one that got me. Because I remember...
Oh, yeah.
I was, like, on a date. I was on a date when I saw that, and we didn't think that the Annabelle movie was going to get us like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we were, like... We started out, it was like, oh, this is kind of cute. Like this, it was like a date hangout, one of those where you don't really know, and like we were just sitting there. But when we got to that elevator scene where she was like down in the basement and the doors wouldn't close, and they kept opening, I've been in that exact same situation down in Popejoy.
Oh.
Somebody forgot to use the key,
Mm-hmm.
and like it took me all the way down to the Popejoy basement. And I didn't know what it was because I'd never been down there.
Mm-hmm.
And it accidentally took me all the way down and opened. Mm-hmm. And like no one was there, it was empty. And then it closed. And then I tried to go back up and it just opened again to the same floor. And I was like, like I was so, like, it's that, like, that's terrifying when that happens. You're just like, go. But at that scene, the both of us, we were like not even... I mean, we were close, but it was like not I'm gonna get close to you because it's cute. It was I have to get close to you for protection.
Mm-hmm.
We were like
yeah,
like clinging onto each other for dear life.
Right.
It was an interesting.
Yeah, no, that's a good, and I feel like that's what you need in a horror movie. Is familiar situations that people have been in. Like, that's really... Because I feel like The Nun was missing that. Like... None of those... Nobody can relate to any of these situations in The Nun. And so, like, The Nun, I feel like, is more of an adventure movie rather than a horror movie,
I can say that. It's like a thriller.
Yeah, but like Annabelle had like the scenes where like there's more relatable scenes, and like then that basement scene was a really good one. That's one I was laughing that scene when I was watching it, but I think it was more of a nervous laugh. It wasn't because it was funny, but because like I didn't know what else to do. Like, so the door opens, and I'm just like laughing. I'm like, this is a typical like you're screwed kind of a laugh. Like, sucks to be you. Like that kind of a laugh. It's but that's what you really need, is those familiar situations. Where,
Yeah, the one where you look at the screen, you're like, oh no, I've been there. I know what's coming.
Yeah, or that's something
so
that I've always
scary.
been scared of. Where like and especially having like after that when the doors won't close, now she's like, I gotta find another way to get out of here, and so she has to like run up the stairs. But in order to run up the stairs, she has to run through the place where she saw the demon last. Like,
Yep.
and where she saw the demon standing.
Choice.
She knows
no
that
choice but to face it.
she knows it's there, and she has to run past it anyways.